So it's my pleasure to see all these smart people attending pranayam classes early in the morning every day. I see Ravi Kulkarni, Arundhati, Prakash. Prakash is one of the kind of. I would say it's my really fortune to have people like this attending the class, and as you know, Prakash has written a book about prescription for health and wellness. And I would like Ravi Kulkarni to introduce him. Ravi Kulkarni is a very good friend. Actually, Ravi introduced Prakash to this Sri Yoga. So go ahead, Ravi.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Shri. Okay. Hi, Prakash. Many of you who attend 6:45 a.m. morning pranayama session see Prakash as a regular participant. I have a pleasure in introducing Prakash as a successful medical practitioner as well as a renowned writer. Prakash Lothe graduated from Nagpur Medical College in 1967, achieving highest honor in medicine, surgery, and anatomy. Dr. Prakash Lothe continued his further education in pediatrics in Banaras Hindu University, and he received a degree of MD from Banaras Hindu University. Since 1974, Dr. Prakash Lothe practiced pediatric medicine in New Jersey. He served as Director of Pediatrics in Riverview Medical Center of New Jersey and as Clinical Assistant Professor of Pediatrics at Drexel University and then in UMDNJ. Prakash has a flair for writing. When he writes humorous stories, it makes you laugh and it releases you all of your stresses. At the same time, when he writes serious stories, the story or the story he writes stays with you all the time. Okay. I really admire his writing. He has published many humorous short stories. He has written essays, he has written plays, he has written novel and screenplays. Okay. His novel Dharmadurin, Defender of Faith, won prestigious award from Government of Maharashtra. And one of his screenplay was made into a movie also. So after completing successful practice in pediatric medicine, Dr. Prakash Lothe retired in 2019. He is now settled in Glen Allen, which is a suburb of Richmond, Virginia. Since retirement, Dr. Prakash Lothe dedicated himself to the study of Patanjali Yoga, discovering benefits of meditation, pranayama, and yogasanas, and its relationship with medical science. Dr. Prakash Lothe's book, A Prescription for Health and Happiness, was published by Amazon in November 2023. Being a medical doctor, Dr. Prakash Lothe offers a modern interpretation of Yoga Sutra of Patanjali with medical perspective. I sincerely believe that Dr. Prakash Lothe's overview of Patanjali Yoga Sutras and its relationship with medical science will certainly be beneficial to all of us who practice pranayama and yoga every day under the guidance of our Guruji, Shrikant Sabnis. I'm requesting Dr. Prakash Lothe to give us his perspective about his book, A Prescription for Health and Happiness, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. Thank you, Prakash. Over to you.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Shrikantji. Thank you, Ravi, for this generous interview. Ravi is one of the best friends, and he actually introduced me to the morning pranayam class. When I saw, listened, and practiced with Shrikantji, I was truly overwhelmed. I thought I'm blessed because not only it gave me better health, but when I was writing my prescription for health and happiness on Patanjali Yoga Sutra, I found that I could apply this to pranayama and explain a lot of things I'm doing uh, on the basis of the Patanjali Yoga. Then I started reading about this. But before I proceed, I have to say that Shikanji has been a true guru. He is a true inspiration. And I consider this as maybe a worldwide launch of my book at the capable hands of a karma yogi, that is Srikanji. Everybody who attends his classes in the morning will not need any conviction to agree with my views. My book, it was, I believe in destiny. Some people don't look backwards, but if you look backwards, you meditate and you reflect on the past, you invariably feel the hand of destiny. This is what happened. I mean, at my 60th birthday, my son Anand gave me the book on Yoga Sutras by BKS Iyengar. Iyengar is a asana guru of the Western hemisphere or Western countries. And I was the book just sitting in my shelf for many days. We moved to Virginia and we discarded a lot of books, a lot of things we donated. But this book survived. When I came to Virginia, Richmond, and one day I just saw the book. I used to wake up in the morning, 5 o'clock, doing nothing. So I reading the book. And God, when I was reading, it's just like a new world revealed after me. Then it just happened, I mentioned to it to Dr. Lele, my friend Kostu Lele. And he said, oh, Prakash, you should read the book by Kolatkar. Now, how the heck I get Kolatkar's book? I mentioned to Dr. Arundhati, who is right here. And Arundhati said, Prakash, I have got that book. And she mailed it to me. The book is very old, from 1950s. She got it as a birthday gift too. And when I read that, I realized this Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, is next to Gita Upanishad. In fact, it has a gist of a lot of Upanishads and Gita. Some shlokas are taken verbatim. And I was so impressed that I keep reading. Then I read about book after book after book on Patanjali Yoga Sutra by Vivekananda, Swami Satchidananda, and one guy called Yardi, and one American writer called Edwin Bryant. And I thought I should write about it. When you have so much thing, one time our local Chinmaya Ashram, Neil Bhatt, mentioned that, this is the time to give. Some people give by money, some people give by work, some people give by knowledge and teaching. And a lot of this esteemed, educated, and enlightened group are doing it already. And I decided I'd write a book. And then I happened to read a couple of things at the end of the sutras. And I was intrigued by something that was said to me, that your minds are actually electromagnetic waves. Now that is intriguing, right? Electromagnetic waves. So I decided to talk with my friend, Dr. Phadke, and he said, you know what? You should read Jayant Kapatkar's book. And lo and behold, I found the book. I spoke with Mr. Kapatkar. He's a computer scientist. And I was amazed. I was amazed that somehow quantum physics relates to the Yoga Sutra. I'm coming to that. Yoga Sutras is not just Patanjali Yoga. Tell me, how many of you have read Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutras? Can you please take a quick opinion, quick count of people who have read it? Just raise your hands and somebody will tell me how many people have. Good. How many people? One. Okay. Let me see how many people. Okay. Not many people have read about it. I'm not surprised because they are very cryptic, abstract. And the sutras are not like Gita. Gita has a beauty, Gita has a sweetness. It's a poetry. The difference between Bhagavad Gita and Patanjali Yoga Sutra is one is poetry. There's a meter. You can sing, you can recite easily. Sutras are aphorisms. They are like one sentence aphorisms. And there is a deep meaning to that. The Sanskrit that is involved is very old. And those days, these people wanted to cram maximum meaning into minimum words because they want people to recite it and remember it instead of write down. Written material is destroyed. That is in your brain is not destroyed. So all the sutras are single one or two letters, two sentences, and they are very hard to interpret. They have been interpreted by many people many times, and there are two types of interpreters. One who did that in ancient times, like Ishwar Krishna in 4th century, and after that many people. Recently, in last 200 years, a lot of Indian and foreign writers have written this. What I would suggest to you is if you want to read an English book, the one by Edwin Bryant. Edwin Bryant is a professor emeritus of Indology at Rutgers University. Before that, he was in Harvard. Right now, he's hitchhiking all over India. I also got in touch with him, and his book is very impartial. A lot of Western writers and philosophers, they have a bias. You must have seen that, and you sometimes wonder they don't understand India. But Edwin Bryant is different. He has written that with full understanding, including the Vibhuti Pada. Vibhuti Pada is full of siddhis. I'll come to that later. Time to time, I will ask you some questions, and then I would let you ask me questions about this is now 8:15. Around 8:40 or 8:45, I will pause and ask you for questions. I'm sure you have questions. Now tell me how many of you actually practice at least one anga of Patanjali Yoga. I'm sure most of you do because
So,
I see you. How many do? Everybody, right? Most of you, out of these 88 people, I'm sure at least 40 people are practicing either pranayam, meditation, or asanas. Then I do all of this. Thank you, because I'm retired. So plenty of time, right? So I'm retired, and so I do all of this. And then every time I do that, I'm a thinker. I'm a thinker basically. And I thought, why I'm doing this? When you do pranayam with Guruji or by yourself or by some other person like the Tamankar people, you ask yourself, what is happening to my body? I'm getting better, but how? And then it triggered my curiosity. I said, let me find out. So I went back to my textbooks in medicine, textbook of neurology, and found out some of the things. And I put this into this book. So this book has two parts. Book is totally 326 pages. First 250 pages are Yoga Sutras. Now you may ask me, why don't you dedicate everything to pranayam or meditation alone? The answer is sutras have so much more than these three angas of Ashtanga Yoga. All of you, I assume, are well versed in Ashtanga Yoga, which has got 8 facets, yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratihar, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Samadhi is the ultimate. But when you read all of the sutras, you realize this is different, much more than that, especially if you read the writing of Mr. Kolatkar. Now, who was Kolatkar? Kolatkar was a guy, scholar in Pune. The poor guy was an insurance clerk. After retirement, he got interested into sutras and spent 15 years. Did not have even pension. He used to eat only once a day to survive. His wife supported him and he wrote these sutras. What he has written is amazing, but it is extremely difficult to understand. It is a Sanskrit-laden Marathi. Only a Sanskrit scholar from Pune could understand what he says. I had to read it twice. And he admits, he says, you have to read my book twice before you understand it. So I did read it twice. Luckily, first 200 pages is introduction. So I wrote the last 400 pages. And it was a revelation. Now I'll come to that, the first one by one. Kolatkar calls it a textbook of psychiatry. Ancient textbook of psychiatry. Nobody else has said that. So I said, how far is right? And Lord, Kolatkar was right. This is a textbook of psychiatry. Why? Because look at the some stotras. I will quote you one that is in a, I will tell you that is this sutra number is 47 in Sadhana Pada. Yoga Sutras are 196, by some 197. The first 51 are Samadhi Pada, in which Samadhi Pada says what is the definition of Samadhi, what are the obstructions of Samadhi, etc. Second is Sadhana. Sadhana Pada, it has got 55 aphorisms, and so the sadhana pad actually tells you the modality. Sadhana is sadhana. You know, all of you, what is sadhana? So it's instruments of the yoga practice. The third one is the vibhuti. That means what kind of powers you get after this. And fourth is kaivalya. That means actually you get samadhi, what happens to samadhi, what are the other ways to go to that, etc. But coming back to the preventive psychiatry, one of the it says that negative attitude is the source of all ignorance and suffering. Now, all of you try to close your eyes and think. Negative attitude or negative feelings or negative emotions is a source of all ignorance and suffering. You misunderstand people because of your basic negativity. You fail in life because of negativity. You fail to learn anything because negativity. And this is just one I would say one aphorism in Sadhana Pada. Surprisingly, Sadhana Pada, which has got all these 8 angas, devotes very small part to asanas, pranayama. He dedicates much more to meditation. We will come to that part in the last, but let me go again. Another part of it, he tells you basic causes of unhappiness. Basic causes of unhappiness. And he lists 4 or 5. We don't have the time to go into each one of them in detail, but that's the reason I call it preventive psychiatry. I have studied psychiatry as a physician in medical school. That time it was very primitive. Today it is advanced. So I went and read a book on psychiatry and saw what basically they have. You know, in modern psychiatry, interesting thing is they blame everything that is happening outside. Now tell me, psychiatry is a disease of mind, right? Psychopathology is a disease of mind, right? So if you do not study mind, how can you diagnose the thing? And studying of mind is not easy. You cannot crack open and see mind. Mind is not in the brain. By the way, mind is not in the brain alone. How? You can ask me later, I can answer that question. Because earthworm has a mind. Do you know that? An amoeba, a single cell organism, has a mind. It doesn't have a brain. So how come? So mind is in terms of our Vedanta, mind is a subtle form of your ego, your conscience. If it is subtle, you cannot touch it, you cannot open it, you cannot dissect it, you cannot experiment on it. If you cannot experiment on it, how can you diagnose the thing, right? So modern psychiatry is basically what they call extrovert. Recently, they have understood that when a child turns to be bad, you have a son who does not behave well, turns out to be a criminal, you wonder, what did I do wrong? You are laden with guilt. But answers are in this preventive psychiatry. They said some of them comes from back previous births. And people in modern Western country knowledge don't accept this reincarnation therapy. But I tell you, it is true. How? Because your mind carries all the subliminal impressions of a previous birth, and that you take it to the next life. And that's the reason some people behave differently, though they belong to the same parents, are raised the same way, but their trajectories are different. One child is virtuous, another child is vicious, and so on and so forth. Our Vedanta and Patanjali Yoga Sutras are based upon Yoganta. Lot of you have studied different Upanishads, Gita, Dhaneshwari, and you know so much, probably you know better than I do. But you will all agree with all the puzzles of life cannot be answered without accepting the reincarnation theory. And that is another part of Yoga Sutras. Who would think, who would think that Yoga Sutras have a history of Darwin's evolution? It explains evolution, for God's sake. Who would think that all the siddhis that are described in the Vibhuti Pada describes about 36, 37 from shlok number 16 to shlok number 48, just the siddhis. That you can walk on water, you can walk through you can diagnose conditions, you can know human anatomy just by focusing on your navel. You can understand, you can control thirst, you can control hunger just by controlling what they call Kupa. Kupa is actually this area. So this is the way the sutras are. And going back to the preventive psychiatry, there is another thing they have described are what are the obstacles in any study, whether it is yoga or your medical profession or your engineering profession, what are the obstacles? And everything is methodical. Methodical means step by step. That is the beauty of Vedanta. People who study Vedanta and go deeper and deeper and deeper, they are amazed. These folks, thousands of years ago, figured out everything step by step. Me, I feel that Yoga Sutra is a GPS. GPS tells you a mile down the road, there is an exit, right? He tells you, Patanjali tells you that when you start doing meditation and do it deeper and deeper, what are the levels of meditation? What happens? Now, all of you, when you started doing meditation, you realize that there are so many thoughts that you cannot focus. People go crazy. They said, I cannot concentrate. How can I do that? And people say, keep the mind blank. How can I do that? Yes, it is. And he calls it a Savitarka Samadhi. Savitarka means full of doubts. You have doubt. Am I doing right? Is it worth it? And then there is next step. Nirvitarka. Your doubts are erased. How are they erased? How are they erased? Can somebody tell me how the doubts are erased during Samadhi? Anybody has any answer? Unmute yourself and tell me.
Okay. So yeah. I have to request them to unmute. So it is not it's not done yet. So
it's okay. All right. But one who wants to answer, you can unmute and tell me what is the answer. How do you erase your vitarka? Okay, the answer is in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. You experience some benefits of meditation.
So I'm allowing participants to unmute themselves. Just be careful. So Prakash, you also looks like you also need to unmute yourself. You also need to unmute yourself. So everyone is sorry.
Okay.
So whoever wants to make any comments, they can unmute themselves.
Okay. No, so see, Chandrasekhar explained it. Shekharji explained it neurologically. Okay, fine. I will try to hear this comment too. See, that reason you remove the vitarka is you actually derive the benefit from meditation. You feel calmer. You don't react so quickly. You don't get mad at people very quickly. And you don't get elated so quickly. So this is evening out. And this is just by 10, 15 minutes of meditation. So the first step is savitarka. Next is nirvitarka. The deeper step then is savichara. There are still thoughts in your mind. Next step is nirvichara. Vichar goes away. And then you go to a step called nirbija samadhi. Samadhi is of two types. Sabija, nirbija. You know, bij means seed. When you start samadhi, Patanjali also tells that you need something to hold on to, like a mantra, like Oma, or something your deity, your what we call as Ishta Devata. Ganesha, Shiva, Vishnu, Jagdamba Mata, Hanumanji, anybody, but focus on that. But after the depth of samadhi, you don't need that. You close your eyes and you get into that trance and you go deeper and deeper and deeper. Ultimate level is that, of course, you get the samadhi. But this is the steps, and that is the reason I call it a GPS. Patanjali in Vibhuti Yoga also tells you that where you can go wrong. He has listed various reasons when your pursuit of yoga fails. There are many of them. Don't have enough time today to discuss that, but there are many of these where you can actually tell. For example, simple sloth, and it means mental laziness, like bodily laziness, inertia. Then some disease, and so many. He has listed 9 different things which will interrupt your progress. Then he says there are misguided places during the Siddhis. Number 48 in Vibhuti Pad tells you that a yogi is actually enticed by the gods to use his siddhis that have acquired. Once you acquire a siddhi to understand other people, you can read people's mind or disappear. Imagine what you can do. Unbelievable things you can do. Right? A political leader will cause havoc. A dictator will destroy the world by reading other people's minds, right? So why not to abuse them? And he says that a time comes, and Buddha has actually mentioned that when he was reaching his final nirvana, he came across a entity called Mara, M-A-R-A. And Mara tried to distract him from his goal. And this is done by gods. Now you will say, why would gods distract a good guy like Yogi? But this is just to test his mettle, to test his ability, his resolve, and his devotion. If you can resist that temptation, you know what happened to Vishwamitra, right? So then you resist that temptation, you cross that barrier, and then finally, when you reach the final level, you have erased what they call the entity of aham, ego, and conscience. When you pass that, you are very close to merger with the Almighty. And this is step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You are there. So this is the thing it is. Now, most of you will say that, okay, we are seeing that a very realistic uh, goal is become healthy and happy. That is the name of my book. And so the last 60 pages I have devoted to this explaining pranayam and meditation, what they do. So now, so it is the not at 8:40. I would ask you, there are maybe some questions and we can go one by one. Let me see. Okay,
Yeah, people can unmute themselves or ask questions in the chat box.
Okay. Okay, the names of the books in chat. Okay, I will. Okay, good. So some of the messages here I have here. One of them is Mr. Narayan says that Sri Chandrasekhar has explained this neurologically. Now, this means what? Mr. Narayan, can you tell? How it is? Can you tell me that? One who has made this comment.
So,
What?
Narayan, you need to unmute yourself. I will ask you to unmute. Maybe Shekhar also. I will ask Shekhar to unmute. So, so again, Shekhar is the one that unlike either Narayan or Shekhar, go ahead and talk about it. So,
Namaskar, Prakash ji. This is Shekhar here.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. So this morning I was talking about this process of the process of meditativeness. When you sit down quietly and try to be aware of, as you said, mantra or your breathing or your Ishtadev or something like that. So you bring your mind back again and again towards the what you call that particular thing that you think is going to get you across in the meditation pathway, right? So when the mind wanders, the thought begin to stray in the beginning of the meditation, right? So that is good actually. That is good. And during this part of wandering, mind wandering, since you are a neurologist and you have studied psychiatry and all that, so the posterior cingulate cortex, the precuneus and the posterior inferior parietal cortex and lateral temporal cortex and medial frontal cortex get activated. It means the whole brain is actually fired up now. And that's the reason why you cannot focus initially when you sit down quietly in the beginning. Mind wanders. The brain is actually getting activated. That is very good because this awareness of distraction, you are aware that you are distracted, right? That is the best part of it. This awareness of distraction is picked up by the salience network of the brain, which comprise of insular cortex and anterior cingulate cortex, right? This is how. So what is happening now? It is shutting off several other areas and making you aware. And the salience cortex is trying to say, okay, you are supposed to focus on breath, right? So this particular wandering of the mind is triggering this particular awareness that you have to become aware of your breathing. And after that, what happens is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and inferior parietal lobe gets activated to help in disengaging the attention from the distracting thoughts. So this is a sequence. And this work has got done in University of Wisconsin in Madison by Richard Lutz and Davidson. So this is amazing work that they have done. And eventually what happens is dorsolateral prefrontal cortex help to sustain the focus on the rhythmic breathing or the mantra, or whatever that you are started off with. So this distracted mind gradually gets to narrowing down towards the focus where you only thinking about, or you are only aware of your breathing and not about the rest of the. So this wandering is good. Actually, we don't have to fight that. Let it happen, and it will itself lead you to what you are supposed to do. And after some time, as you rightly said just now, that even the focus on the rhythmic breathing and mantra or your ishtadev, everything gets, you transcend all that, and then you go deep into the extended meditative state where you are
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
are the
exactly.
consciousness. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Nair. And you know what? I am
That is Shekhar. Narayan was not able to talk.
okay. Okay,
He
understood.
doesn't have access to mic. So.
Okay, all right. That's okay. So that's very correct. And you know, actually, what this happens is practice. Two beings of this bird of yoga practice. One is devotion, another is practice. And of course, they say detachment and the practice and practice. People say that you have to do minimum 20 minutes twice a day. Kolatkar mentioned it's like 3 hours now. You cannot, 3 hours is quite a long time. But there is that what happens in your brain, just like you mentioned to me right now, is when you are meditating, more blood supply goes to the brain. Why? Because rest of the body is not working. When you are eating, blood goes to the intestines because you have to digest the food. When you are walking, more blood goes to your legs because you have to use the legs. So, but when you are sitting quietly, close your eyes and trying to close your senses too. Eye is the most important thing that disturbs you. You are basically diverting more blood to the brain. And preferably, it has been seen that it goes to the what you mentioned, prefrontal cortex. What happens there? In the prefrontal cortex, more synapses are formed. What is the synaptic connection? Those who are not doctors or who are not related to medical profession, synapses is the connections between two neurons. Brain has close to 1 billion neurons. Nerve cell is the unit of brain, functional and anatomical. And each neuron has, it throws away one long axon, long tail connection, and the others are dendrites. And when they two connect, it's called a synapse. Two neurons communicate each other with connections with their axon to dendron or dendron to dendron, something like that. And these are synapses. Each neuron is capable of 1,000 synapses. So now multiply 1 billion neurons but times 1,000 synapses. But these are not all formed at birth. At birth, all the neurons are not present. You are getting more and more neurons. Till you are about 4 year old, all the neurons are formed, and then it is a hard drive. The soft, the all the what the material is uploaded into the brain after at each time a synapse formed, and more synapses are formed. The prefrontal cortex gets more and more mature, and that's what Mr. Chandrasekhar mentioned. Mr. Chandrasekhar mentioned that you are able to focus without thinking, without thoughts. The thoughts just don't come. You are able to do so because your prefrontal cortex is your CEO, Chief Executive Officer of your whole body. It thinks, it executes, it decides, makes fine decisions, and that is made stronger by how do we know? Functional MRI. What is the functional MRI? I was going to come to that at the end, but this comment brought me to the forefront. Functional MRI means, quite a few of them, quite a few have a MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. It studies the brain, actually its activity. And functional means actually it shows the oxygen uptake of each nerve cell or oxygen uptake of a part of the brain. Where the blood goes more, there is more oxygen uptake. And actually, when they do the functional MRI of people who are meditating, and they have experiment done in this country, places like Harvard, most advanced universities, they have experimented on the Buddhist monks who are habitual deep meditators, really advanced meditation of prolonged duration. And these people have very different prefrontal lobes. They have more synaptic connections and more different, like he mentioned, some parts of the brain, like in inferior cingulate gyrus, posterolateral. I won't throw a lot of medical garbage on you because that is just overwhelming. You may understand that, but it is just not necessary. But the point is, meditation effectively changes brain. In my book, there is a chapter on meditation, and it shows different conditions, includes anxiety neurosis. Meditation now has become a standard treatment for anxiety neurosis. That is from textbook of Adams and Gray. Okay, you can see that reference in my book. The references I mentioned in the beginning were of Mr. Kolatkar's book, which is translated in English, but you will find it only in Maharashtra. Then the book by B.K.S. Iyengar that you will find in Amazon or any Barnes and Noble, and book on Bryant, it is also you will find on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. But none of these books touch the subject of medical application because in those days these things were not known. They were bright people, they had some medical background, but they never heard of MRI because MRI came in late 80s and functional MRI came in 2000, 2010. So all these things are not addressed. So we're going back to that. Now, I was going to touch the other part of this, which is not part of the Ashtanga Yoga. I told you the Ashtanga Yoga is actually Patanjali Yoga Sutras are far more than Ashtanga Yoga. And one of the amazing factor in besides preventive psychiatry is a theory of evolution. Now, you may see where the hell you saw this thing. I got this idea from Kolatkar's book. Kolatkar has not elucidated that very much because at time of Kolatkar, genetics was not that advanced. But today, I'm very fortunate to know advanced genetics. And I read books, I go on internet, very easy to research on internet. And I discovered that in the ninth sutra of the last pada is Kaivalya Pada. Kaivalya Pada.
So, Prakash, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry about this. Okay. There is some background noise. Okay.
Okay. Right? Okay. So, Jatyantar means Jati, Antar. Jatyantar means basically mutation. Evolution occurs because of mutation, as proven by Darwin. But how does it happen? How does it happen?
How can you?
How does it happen? Do you hear me, all of you? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does it happen? Think about it. A little frog is constantly chased by other animals who want to eat it. He wants to run away from them. And one fine morning, he discovers that he can have long legs and his legs get bigger and he can run. One fine morning, he discovers that he got wings. So he's up in the sky and he escapes. So it's survival. But how actually it happens? Because the impressions of a present birth are recorded on your subtle body. Your subtle body is made up of 17 elements according to Shankaracharya. And these 17 elements contains like mind, intellect, ego, and beside that, your five tanmatras. Tanmatras are senses. Senses means not hearing, vision, etc., etc. That's not ears, no throat. That's not that. Ears, eyes, tongue are external earthly manifestation of these senses. These senses are somewhere here. And these are 5 tanmatras. 5 tanmatras, 5 pranas. You know those prano, pana, vyano, dana, 5 pranas. And 5 mahabhutas and these 7. So total 17 elements make the subtle body. Subtle body picks up these impressions. And when the animal dies, it is transferred to the other one. But it learns something, how to survive. And Patanjali says that like a farmer directs the current of a river water to certain farm and blocks it from certain farm, the nature does it. And how do you know that? When you study human embryology. I tell you, this is amazing. How does it? You know what? Human embryo is formed by one sperm and one ovum, a female egg and male sperm. It is single cell. The single cell is called zygote, Z-Y-G-O-T-E, zygote. About 24 hours, it is quiet. And then it starts duplicating because now it has got the chromosomes from mother and father. In human being, 23, 46 chromosomes, it starts multiplying. Multiplies. And by 3 to 4 weeks, a complete form is formed. We were taught in human embryology back in 60s how a certain cell line goes to form the heart. Now, what is the heart? If you dissect the earthworm, have you dissected earthworm? Any of you biology? No. Dissect the earthworm, and a heart is just a tube, a bluish tube. But it becomes 2-chamber heart and 3-chamber heart in a crocodile and 4-chamber heart in a human being. Now, how does it happen? That tube modifies, it evolves, and it twists and turns and it forms a complete heart. How complicated is our human heart? And it starts beating at age of 3 weeks. I do not know exact what age it starts, but I think Arundhati will tell you, it probably starts beating around 3 to 4 weeks of intrauterine life. So when you study humanology, you are convinced that there is a force behind it, which makes it turn. And do you know, when a human being is formed 99.99%, it is normal. And it is not only human being, a calf, a pig, an earthworm is formed perfect. How does it happen? Who is controlling that? Who is controlling that? The answer is what Yama says to Nachiket. That thing, the Prakriti. And that is explained by Prakriti. So actually, that force is modulating a particular human, any organism to fit its birth or human. Patanjali goes further. He says that you are born, and this is in all over our Vedanta, you are born according to your karma in a right race, right family, right country, and right environment and right time. Now just imagine Newton was born in somewhere in Zambia, African country, as a little boy, and he saw an apple falling. Who already think, but here is Newton, who has some science background, and he starts thinking, and he says, falling down, there must be some force. So where are you born? Important. Now, I was born in a simple lower middle class family, where what was important is learning, studying. But if I was born in a family of, say, Bhimsen Joshi, I would be a singer. It's quite possible. But that is decided by your Purva Karma. And these are the things described in the 3 or 4 verses at the beginning of the Kaivalya Pada. And that's the reason I say that Patanjali Yoga Sudra is far more than Patanjali Yoga. I will stop here, and yes, you can ask me the question.
So go ahead, Meena. Ask questions again. Just ask, and again, whenever you are asking question, just make sure that other people are not are still on mute. So, okay, go ahead, Meena.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. My question is that your title says that Patanjali Yoga Sutras as per the medical perspective. So I was under the impression that you're going to talk about the diseases and how Patanjali, how the yoga asanas or the pranayama, if they're going to bring about any enzymatic changes or hormonal changes or anything else to for the betterment of the human being. But I didn't hear anything so far. So does your book cover all these things?
Okay, yes. This is a vast subject, and I have briefly addressed all these in the book. But to answer your question, now it is right now 8:52, and I was coming to that at a later part. I wanted to stress this, that you, when you go and read my book, please make sure you to read the first 200 pages, though it is a difficult reading. But please read the book, and the last 70 pages are about this. Now, because you are eager to hear about that, yes, how does it actually work? Now let's go first to the uh, things of yogasanas. Most of you do yogasanas, right? What is happening in your body? What is happening in your body? That you are doing a certain position, say like a cobra position, or a position of a what they call dhanurasana or paschimottanasana. You are basically stretching your muscles, right? And first day when you try, you cannot reach your toes, or you cannot bend backwards. Next day you do more, and next day you do more, and next day you do better, and finally you master it. Now, how exactly this happens? See, because brain is giving instructions to the muscle to flex or contract. When you want to do something, you think. The brain tells the brain neurons, they fire a electrical signal that goes through the nerve to the muscle, and it contracts. But when it contracts, it also senses thing back to the brain. When you do repeatedly again, more synapses are formed, and every day you are more and more, you do the same thing better and better and better. I have quoted Donald Webb. Donald Webb. Now you probably uh, when you read my book, you will see that Donald Webb was a Webb was a neuropsychiatrist. He's the father of neuropsychiatry. He's a Canadian scientist, and he mentions that when any action is done, the the afferent neuron and efferent neuron, both when you post the neuron, the two neurons which are connecting, the receiving and transmitting neuron both get progressively stronger. And this is the theory behind the asanas. Now, how each asanas is performed, Guruji will tell you better. You know that better. And idea of this book was not to tell you how asana is performed. Otherwise, this book would be 1,000 pages. But the underlying thing is asanas do help a lot, and that brain is directly involved. Now, you mentioned how the neurohormones are produced and all that. It is also extremely uh, extremely important. And one thing I would address in this case would be the certain pranayams. I have devoted quite a few pages on pranayam. Now, pranayam, uh, as a basic thing is, you are oxygenating your body, giving more oxygen to the body. Normally, your lungs have millions of alveoli. Alveoli is a single breathing unit of the lung. Each lung has almost 1 billion alveoli. Normally, when you breathe, you are using only 1/3 of the alveoli. Alveoli is an air sac in which the oxygen and CO2 exchange happens. Alveoli is covered by capillaries, and capillaries have blood, and the blood emits, let's go, CO2 picks up the oxygen. So normally only 1/3 are open. But when you take deep breathing, an example is, Guruji always shows you those basilikas and all that. You take a deep breath, you raise your arm and open your hands and take a and huge amount of air is taken. Instead of 1/3, 2/3 alveoli open. You get more oxygen. Oxygen goes with the brain. Every cell of your body depends ideally on two things, and that is it in this book. Two things are oxygen and nutrition. Oxygen and nutrition. It's like a car engine. It needs gasoline and air. And then energy is created. This every body cell receives more oxygen, so it functions better. And that is the bottom line. Now you may ask me how hormones are regulated and all that. Okay. See, hormone regulation depends on what they call endocrine orchestra. Endocrines, there are endocrine like pituitary gland, adrenal gland, your ovaries or testes, thyroid gland. These are called endocrine glands, and these are interconnected. Now just imagine each one of them getting more and better oxygen. Example is Guruji shows you the what they call the Jalandhar lock. Like this is called or chest is called. When we touch your chin to the chest and swallow, what are you doing? You are massaging your thyroid. If thyroid is massaged, it gets more blood, right? More blood means more oxygen, right? So it functions better. Makes sense? Now, the another one is that they call Udyan Bandha. You are pressing that part, right? You are pressing that part and let it go. And then you have doing this lock. You breathe rapidly. What is happening? More oxygen, more blood is going to all the abdominal organs. Normally, abdominal organs are not exercised. You exercise your muscles. They are not exercised. So more blood is given to them by doing different pranayams. And anytime more blood goes, that organ functions better. That is the bottom line. You apply to any part of the body, and that will happen. All right. Now, another pranayam that you often do is the process of what they call Ujjayi pranayam. Guruji tells you to do the Ujjayi pranayam, and what you do this, and then go. What is happening? Two things. You are getting rid of carbon dioxide, right? And second part is you are constricting your throat muscles. Throat muscles weakness and flaccidity is the cause of snoring. That it improves. That definitely improves. Different locks improve the sphincter tones. Different locks. When you apply the root lock,
Okay,
you
sorry
are
to interrupt you, doctor. Sorry to interrupt you. You're talking in general. This is a general idea, or I mean a general concept that once you constrict, you inhale more, or you get more oxygen, nutrition. That's a general thing. I want to know if you have in your book specific studies, because it's not just pranayama which is increasing the oxygen, or it's not curing any disease. It's even the asanas. Even when you do regular asanas without doing pranayama, there are lots of studies to show that they are curing diabetes, increasing TSH, it's doing a lot of things. So do you have any specific studies in your book? That is what is my question, because many studies which are done in India, they have their sample sizes are just like 2, 3 and things like that, which the Western medical scientists will not buy. We need a good sample size. So the knowledge in India is great, but our research procedures are unfortunately not good. So
you
I
are
would like
100%
to know.
right.
Pardon me?
You are 100% right. I tell you,
Yeah,
that
so
is
I
the
want to know
reason.
in your book if you have specific studies to show that okay, by doing this asanas or these pranayamas, that with a very good scientific design, that and scientific sample size, whether we have shown any improvement in hypothyroidism, diabetes, so on and so forth. Thank you.
Okay, your question is very good, and you answered your own question. See, the studies from India. I have saw dozens of them on different types of pranayama or asanas helping certain type of endocrine function or certain types of body function. But sample size is very small. That is the name. And they are not, that's the reason, recognized in the Western countries. And that's the reason I did not include them. This book does not have that much scope. My publisher told me that don't let your book be 500 pages. Nobody will look at it. And I had to limit to this. So I have select only those studies I know are legitimate. Those studies which have appeared in Western journals are included. And so my answer to that is no. Some of all the studies don't have enough. I don't have any scope to include all the studies. But important ones, like how the meditation helps the development of prefrontal cortex, are included. I have actually a list of references at the end of the book.
One more thing, can I answer this question?
Oh, sure.
Why there is not much emphasis on sample size in Bharatiya Shastra Vigyan?
So sure, please.
Number one is everybody is specific. In Western science, they want to club everybody in one box and say, okay, this n number 75, and this is the variance, and this is how it is. That is absolutely fallacious studies. Western science has a lot of fallacies in its studies by clubbing a lot of things together as if it is a bunch of mice. No, that's not the truth. Human beings are so specific. Everybody is so specific, and that's why the subjective science, all these Ayurveda Shastra doctors, I would say, they used to treat a patient as one individual entity by understanding his Vat Pitta Kapha ratio, this and that, telling him what is the right thing to do. Not everybody will work with Bhujangasana as perfect. No, he does not. There are other things that they take care of. So it is a very specific. So N is only one, and it has to be only one in Indian science. And Western science want, oh, is there a printout of some observed data? And what printout do you want for love? Do you have any printout that, oh, this is the reason I am having love in my heart? It's nonsense.
Yeah. There is unfortunately some bias in the Western literature.
It is absolutely a lot of bias is there, and I am not in favor of that type of we are not interested in their approval of our stuff. Let that very clear.
Yeah, right. Actually, you can judge something by the results. All the things that we have, whether it is Patanjali Yoga or something, you can see the results. If you see the results,
exactly. Yes, I don't give them. Yeah, you see, and this is a subjective science. It is not an objective science. This is subjective science. You have to feel it here, right here.
Yeah, correct. A lot of things in our sciences are subjective. And, Edwin Bryant's book, if you read Edwin Bryant's book, he has brought this point repeatedly, the difference between the Western approach to science and Eastern approach to science. And we stress more of, actually, we see the results. I perform pranayam with Swami Guruji every day. And 3 years, I found a benefit. And a lot of times I agree, I cannot explain everything because there are no substantial studies which are accepted in the West and appeared in the medical literature. But benefit of meditation, benefit of pranayama had actually been seen and studied in the Western countries too. And a lady was asking me about question that why there is no specific, because simply my book is not that exhaustive. I don't have that space to quote every paper and exactly tell what people are theorizing. People, I have seen these papers, they have like 20 or 30 cases studied, and most of them coming from South India, Madras and Bangalore and Vellore. And I admire these people because they are actually caring to study these things. And they theorize how this must be happening. There is no way to prove that, except one day we will have a thing, something like MRI, that you can actually see changes happening in different parts of the brain. Now I tell you one result actually had happened. You know our Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, right? Vivek Murthy was working with a group of school-age children in San Francisco school area. And he found that just 10 minutes of meditation brings down the incidence of hyperactivity, truancy, and indiscipline in school-age children. Now, this study is proven, but actually how it actually happens is hard to, he has not also mentioned that. So basically, you sometimes go in our science, and Ayurveda is a great example. You see the results, you have to accept it. Maybe the dose is not specifically calculated, but you see the results and you feel better. An average person wants that. What else you want? And the name of the book is Health and Happiness. I didn't say moksha, because everybody is not after moksha. You simply want to be happy, right? You want to be healthy. And read it, it will help.
Can I ask Dr. Lothe?
Yes.
During the chakra meditation,
Huh.
I certain beach bundles at different stage. So would you please explain how does the sound affects our body when you do the different sounds at different stages of the...
Oh, that's a brilliant question. You know, I have particularly addressed that in the book. This is, of course, Western countries, they have not actually experimented that, but this applies to that. What I'm writing in this book, it definitely appeals to your common sense. Now tell me, these different sounds, vibration, these are vibration technique, right? Vibration technique. Vibration is sound vibrations,
Yes.
right? Okay. Now the sound vibrations, you know what they can do. Intense sound vibration can split the glass. In our music, they say sound vibrations can actually light up lights, deeper arg. That is the energy, right? It's energy. And you know, all of you are science students, sound energy gets converted to other energies. Electrical energy converts to mechanical, mechanical gets to electrical, sounds to electrical, and they're all electromagnetic waves. And that goes back to quantum physics. All are just the many variations of electromagnetic waves. So these vibrations do affect. In my book, I mentioned that there is a science called lithotripsy. What is lithotripsy? Litho means stone. Tripsy means breaking up. People who have kidney stones or gallstones, they can be broken up by sound treatment, right? So it affects your body. Nobody can deny that, right? My wife used to do ultrasound, and she said the moment she put that transducer on the belly of a pregnant woman, that baby would move. The baby would be alarmed. It would move. And baby feels those vibrations. So vibrations go to all parts of the body and do cause issues. Some people say it helps your coronary bar block. Now, how does it happen? How does it happen? How does the coronary get blocked? Some of you will know that it is, you think cholesterol blocks it, right? That's just a small part. The blood vessel has 3 layers: intima, media, and externa. The intima is the inner layer, very thin cell. Now, constant your pumping of the blood, it damages that intima after some time. This happens especially if you have a high blood pressure or your metabolism is disturbed by diabetes. When it is injured, what happens? It has to heal. So platelets, red blood cells, they deposit on that, like a sealing of a wound. And then calcium deposits that. And this forms a plaque. The plaque makes the coronary narrow. Now, what is the basic problem? The basic problem was deposition of those fine things, right? And injury to the intima or the inner layer of the thing, that could be prevented by your vibrations. That could be prevented by the vibrations. So technically, theory, this is theory, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm theorizing. I'm theorizing that it could prevent it. And this could happen to many other parts of the body. Now, one of the things is the what they call the abdominal lock. Abdominal lock. What the heck does it do? What are you doing? With your 3 fingers, you're pressing at the belly button. And what is just behind the belly button? About 1 centimeter to the right of the belly button is a junction of the stomach and duodenum. And that is just below that is the entry of the bile duct and pancreatic duct, a duct coming from the liver and gallbladder and pancreas. And blockage of these things can cause stones and inflammation. This is prevented by that because you're constantly pumping that thing. Your abdomen has hundreds of lymph nodes. These lymph nodes, they are cells. They are your reticuloendothelial system. They are your immune system. They don't get enough blood unless you exercise. And with pranayama, you are doing exercise while you're sitting. When you are doing asanas, you are doing the same thing. When you are ovary, your testicles, your pancreas, your thyroid gets exercise, gets more blood, it functions better. That is the bottom line. It does not require any big research papers. It's simple common sense. And that's the reason it should be accepted, because it helps you. It's simply this, you see the result. Any more questions?
Different stage has different sound, like a lum, wum, rum, yum, and ksham. So yeah. Why lum is for root chakra and wum is for the Swadhisthana chakra and so on? Why?
Okay, I don't know the answer to that, but basic thing is yum, the vibration. You see it is yara lava sha. Yara lava sha. These are the 5 consonants of the same Sanskrit alphabets, right? Yara lava sha. You are going that. Maybe just a proper matter of convenience that our ancestors designed, but the main thing is the vibrations. You just say Om, and Om creates the vibrations. And just so the syllable Om is called Pranav. And Patanjali says that to cure most of the problems, most of the distraction, chant Om. Om is vibrations. And how does it cool down? It is entirely possible. The Om creates vibration. The sound vibrations get converted into electromagnetic energy. And that electromagnetic energy is soothing. Saying in the right way, this electromagnetic energy will soothe your nerves. And don't you feel that? When you see Om just 3 times, I attend a Gita class on Sunday. Our leader, Mr. Neil Bhatt, in the beginning, he makes everybody say Om 3 times. And about such 60 people saying Om, including little children, and it feels so good. That little room vibrates with that very positive emotions. And anybody feels good. Everybody is quiet. Is there something to that? Like somebody mentioned, there is result. The result is actually the proof is in the pudding. You have seen the good result of what is happening, making people calm. And I am a believer of that.
How about the Bhramari Pranayam? We say.
Yes, Bhramari Pranayam is, I also agree, it's just vibrations, just vibrations from up to bottom. And in my mind, the last part of this, when Guruji tells you that you saying Sham and you are focusing here, you actually are feeling vibrations in your brain. And what is doing, it is actually helping the circulation of the brain. Your brain your brain is supplied by two main arteries, the carotids and the vertebral, two sets of two carotids and two vertebral, and they go inside the head. And my conviction is that you are helping circulation of the brain. Now, talking about Alzheimer's, it has been proven to help Alzheimer patient, meditation. And this pranayama, how does that help you? What is happening in Alzheimer's? There is a protein called amyloid deposited, right? Maybe the vibration dislodged this protein. This protein is blocking and deposited into essential parts of the brain. We start the dangerous process of Alzheimer. Maybe, I'm not sure. Studies not been, we have to wait for the studies. We have to wait for the next 50 years with functional MRI and other modalities, and people who willing to, somebody from this country, some Indian kid who believes in what we are saying, he goes and does studies without the help of big corporations who are not interested in this because there is no money. So they will find it out.
Okay.
They will find out.
All right. Thank you.
And
also, as Shekhar mentioned, Shekhar Mayanil, that he's going to have a session on mantras sometime in February. When, Shekhar?
Yeah.
So sometime, on Sri Yoga.
Sometime in February or something.
Yeah.
Month of February or so, I'll do a. This is what my thing is. I would like to do a session on mantra, tantra, and yantra. What are the benefits of it, and why I consider that those as applied neurosciences? Actually, neuroscience has a lot of information, a lot of good things going on, a lot of research is going on, but it has to get translated into application, and we have the application. Our scripture has all the applications, so-called, which with the Western science will develop into gadgets and maybe put it on your head or something like that, which will cause further complications. But Tantra, Mantra, and Yantra have this balanced homeostasis that they can work with from our own system. It is system conducive. It is our own system conducive. It helps our own brain to do its own job the right way, helping the brain do its job rather than trying to block it.
Yeah. You know what? It is what you said is very correct, and I'm very happy to. I would be very eager to listen to what you say about the mantras, how they actually work. But actually, it again relates to one thing: the sound energy converted into right energy that is very healthy, conducive to the health of our system. And that science is completely uncovered as of now. And we will know that in next 50 to 100 years. And I believe that the research has to come from India.
Yes.
Yes, I have Dinesh. Dinesh has one question, and it looks like Dr. Pattarkini also has a question. So go ahead, Dinesh, and after that, Vikram.
Thank you, Shri. Dr. Prakash Lothe, thank you very much for this wonderful study and the wonderful work you have done. Because, we always saw the results, but we never understood the science behind it. And now I think you are connecting the two. And I hope it leads to more and more scientific investigation, inquiry, and more people see the connection. So thank you for that. My question to you is, what motivated you to get into this?
To get what?
To get into this study and this connection. Some event happened, or was it a inspirational thing, or what motivated you to do this work?
It's such an excellent question. To be honest with you, it was my destiny. And when I read what is the chance that a boring book like Yoga Sutras of Patanjali should fall into my hand? I have decided to read and then get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and finally get completely infatuated with that. And then just went on deeper and deeper. And I found people like Dr. Vinod gave me that book, and Dr. Phadke gave me the name of that guy who was a computer scientist. And that led me to this. Then I went into quantum physics for matter to understand this quantum physics. What a biology student know about quantum physics? We go to medical school because we are weak in physics, right? Weak in math and physics. But it's not. But I was enticed by this thing because you, me, are a bunch of waves and subatomic particles, and that explains so many things at how a different, it's a complete different subject. It will take 1 hour to go into that, but it is theorizing. It is theorizing at this point. It has to be proven in future, and it will be proven.
No, I agree with you. I think you are on the right track. So all the best to you.
So I think Vikram has one question, and most likely Anagha wants to talk after that. So.
Sure.
Yeah, we can let Anagata speak. I'm not in a rush. No problem. Go ahead, Anagata. Anagata, you will have to unmute yourself.
Anagha, please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Now she is there.
No, I'm not resist. I was just, it's a way to support my neck. That's why I sit this way. But to me, just whatever you have said, the connection is really amazing. The sound energy into electrical energy, yes. My question is the mantras, and also Dr. Mayanil can answer. The mantras, are the words important, or the sound combination, or it's your devotion that converts it? So where is the key there? I mean, yeah.
All of the above. All of the above.
I have not figured out that, but I think Mr. Mayanil may illustrate that part.
All of the Anagatai, actually just a few, I think a month ago or so, maybe month and a half ago, we did the mantra, the neuroscience of mantra chanting. I will share with you that YouTube video just now. Wait a minute. You might want to check it out. It's awesome. The study has been done in India, by the way. So that you love that one. Wait a minute. I'm just checking it out and I'm sending it to you.
Okay, so while Shekhar Dada, you are doing that,
yes,
I'm going to share some of my thoughts regarding these sounds and words and letters and things like that, okay? Our Sanskrit language is actually very scientific. You know, the initial sound comes from deep within. And when the vocal apparatus is not used at all, then the first line of our alphabets can be pronounced, like a, e, o. There the sound is basically here.
He always uses a sonication technique to clean the jewelry.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to mute everybody else other than me. So, Prakash Dada, मी तुम्हाला mute करतो 1 सेकंदासाठी. So, let's talk about a, e, o, a, o, a. Okay, nothing has been used other than sound is coming from here. There is no vibration anywhere. The next line happens to be k, kh, g, gh, ng. Okay, so there is some friction or some portion of our vocal apparatus at the deepest location is now getting activated. K, kh, g, gh, ng. Then you come up a bit, and then the tongue is now getting activated. Ch, ch, j, jh, y. So the tongue is now touching the deepest portion of our mouth. Then the tongue is coming a bit forward. Now it is touching the palate. It's called t, th, d, dh, n. Okay. Next line, the tongue is touching the teeth. T, th, d, dh, n. Okay. Thereafter, the lips are joining each other. P, p, b, bh, m. See how the sound has evolved from within all the way to out. The entire vocal apparatus is encompassed in a, u, n, right? So the entire vocal apparatus can be summarized in a, u, and ma. So that's what the sound is Om. When we chant the sound Om, or when we chant any mantra, so I'm going to answer Anakatai's question. The purpose of chanting any mantra is we should chant the mantra and listen to it ourselves. Chanting means we are using one of our karmendriyas, which is the organ of action, which is our tongue. And listening means we are using one of our jnanendriyas, which is our ear, okay, karnendriya. When our karmendriya and jnanendriya come together, that's when we are able to focus, or our entire mind gets focused on that particular chant. Okay. Karmendriya is the Pingala Nadi, the sun energy channel within our body. And Jnanendriya is the moon energy channel, the Ida in our body. So when those Ida and Pingala merge together, because they are now joined with each other, the ears are listening to the tongue. That's when the Sushumna gets activated. That's when the body is totally balanced. That's the purpose of any mantra. Now, for each letter, that letter will create a certain vibration in a certain part of our body. So if you have to activate a certain part of your body, there will be a certain letter. And then when you say that letter with an anuswar, so yang, rang, lang, sham. So these mantras, or these are called Bijakshar mantras. So when these mantras are chanted and when you hear them, then they will have specific beneficial effect on specific parts of our body. And this is a very deep science. You know, there is a phenomenal speaker on this topic. I'll be happy to invite him, Shrikant Dada, at some point. We'll invite him sometime. I'll tell you more about that. I'm not an expert in mantras. But when we chant the mantras, our Ida and Pingala come together, our Sushumna is activated. That is the reason we chant mantras. Now, if your Ida and Pingala are balanced, your Sushumna is always active, you don't have to do any mantras. That's a completely different story. But I wanted to share with you my thoughts on sounds. By the way, I'll give you an example. How the sound itself, how the word itself will create an image of what is being talked about. So let's just talk about a word, danta. So in the word danta, the tongue is touching the teeth, the and ta and na, danta. So when you say danta, it's obvious that you're talking something about the teeth, right? The word dental has also come from the word danta. So if you see all the English words, they are derived from the sounds of the Vedic mantras. Deep subject, but thank you for that question. Thank you for letting me speak, Shrikant Dada.
So Ramesh Deshpande also wants to have a question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're correct. Yeah.
So Ramesh, if you're there, please.
Well, yeah, I'll be very quick. Just a comment. You know, it was Dr. Lothe, Dr. Manjul, with excellent presentation on science of yoga. But finally, my point is yoga is an experience, and it is very subject to experience. Number one. Number two, the Patanjali himself says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So he's talking about chitta. You know, he takes, and you already said that mind goes beyond brain. Mind is the total awareness. So chitta vritti is total awareness. We are spending too much time on mind, because when you go towards the path of samadhi, it is not the mind, it is the awareness. That's what matters. Total awareness. That is what matters. And not the mind. Because you have to get rid of those vrittis and get out of the influence of mind and go into the status of awareness. And awareness can exist outside the body. You know, awareness is an experience which can exist outside the body. And that is where the samadhi process begins actually. When your awareness can get exit out of body, that is where the samadhi process begins. Now, depending upon how one's mind is ready, then we talk about, Patanjali talks about asampradnyat samadhi and sapradnyat samadhi. So Patanjali again refers to you. Do you get rid of those vrittis? Without that, you will not get asampradnyat samadhi, total samadhi. So I think you have explained very well the science of yoga. I'm not a doctor or I'm not a scientist, so I have no argument on that. But I have been practicing yoga, and my experience or my feeling is that yoga is an experience, number one. Number two, mind has to be, chitta vritti has to be eliminated. Without that, there is no samadhi, because you will get back and back again. And third thing is that when you are in awareness, you have to go towards the asampradnyat status. Without that, samadhi does not materialize. That is why frequently it is broken, because my mind is not. So any comment on this subject? Thank you.
Dr. Deshpande, you're absolutely right. So in the first Samadhi Pada, Patanjali has elaborated exactly what you just said. First thing is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, and conquering the mind, wiping out the vichar from the mind. That is the way
Exactly.
to achieve Samadhi. There is no question about that.
No, that's why
it is a subjective experience. Absolutely. Yes. And that's the reason it is very hard to prove.
Yeah. No. Proving is different thing. My point is, when Patanjali wrote this, I think Patanjali probably, and by the way, yoga didn't start with Patanjali. It started with Vedas and Upanishads.
No, not at all. No. Patanjali, Patanjali just has edited the whole thing.
Edited, yeah. Upanishads and even Upanishads talk about Veda, yoga.
Yeah.
So, and it is more based on experience of thousands of people or hundreds of practitioners. That is what we have come to this. So, my the bottom line, the message, Dr. Lothe, you may want to consider to give us, those who are not doctors and who are not scientists, for them, is that it is an experience. It is the chitta vritti nirodha, and that is an hard work there. And once chitta vritti nirodha is there, then dvaita and advaita. You see, the Patanjali even talks about that how do you end dvaita? You end dvaita only when your awareness is pure and goes to the ultimate universal awareness. You see, that is where it merges. That is where dvaita ends. And that process has to be explained, in what you say. I mean, I don't know whether science can explain this, but definitely the practice, the experience of one's own. What is realization, self-realization? That is what it is, right? So I will stop here. I thank you very much for your excellent presentation, Dr. Lothe and Dr. Mike.
Thank you. Dr.
Yeah, but this message has to be a common man needs this message. Thank you.
You know what? In my book, this sentence that you said, it is a subjective experience, and that has been repeatedly mentioned, repeatedly written. That particular sentence, that is a subjective experience, and we just start to experience that.
So it's getting I was saying that it's getting a little bit late. I'm not sure how long do we want to continue.
And again, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for patient listening. I was very impressed with your response. Thank you again. And
Arundhati, is there anything you want to talk? Arundhati,
मला एखाद प्रश्न विचारू?
Sure, go ahead.
नाही, प्रश्नाचा नेमा I just want to thank Dr. Lothe, कारण हे सगळं थिओरॉटिकल लेव्हलला न ठेवता आपण हे कसं करता येईल, ऍक्च्युअल प्रॅक्टिकल ऍप्लिकेशन कसं आहे, तुम्ही फार चांगलं सांगितलं, सिम्पल आणि ऑल्सो डॉक्टर पटनायक तुम्ही म्हणजे अदरवाईज तुम्ही नुसतं थिअरी असं आहे समाधी, पण हाऊ डू यू डू दॅट, आणि त्याचं कनेक्शन तुमच्या बॉडीशी कसं आहे हे तुम्ही फार चांगलं सांगितलं दोघांनी, अँड थँक्यू फॉर दॅट. Something we can practice really.
Thank you very much. Arundhati, you want to say anything?
एवढंच म्हणायचं होतं की प्रेझेंटेशन एक्सलंट होतं आणि मी पहिल्यांदा डॉक्टर मायानीलचं ऐकलं. सो इट सीम्स लाईक वी हॅव टू हॅव मेनी मोर कॉन्फरन्स लेक्चर्स लाईक दिस टू एज्युकेट अस.
Yes, you're
And
absolutely
thank you
right.
very much, both of you.
So this is really, there are quite a few very smart people in this group, and so I think somehow we'll synergize and come up with a better understanding of yoga and overall the in our health and happiness and so on.
मला पण प्रकाशजींना खरंच थँक्स सांगावं असं वाटतं. जशा अनघा आता बोलल्या की आमच्यासारख्या सामान्य लोकांना ज्यांना मेडिकलचे बॅकग्राऊंड नाही आहे त्यांच्यासाठी दिस वॉज व्हेरी युजफुल. की कसे तुमच्या बॉडीवर आणि सगळं इफेक्ट होतो किंवा काय काय. इट्स रिअली व्हेरी नाईस. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच प्रकाशजी आणि शेखरजी, विक्रमजी, एव्हरीबडी. बट इट वॉज रिअली नाईस प्रेझेंटेशन.
आणि मुख्य म्हणजे आपण पॉझिटिव्ह ऍटिट्यूड ठेवून प्रत्येक गोष्टीकडे जर बघितलं तर यू गेट द राईट थिंग ऍट द राईट टाइम. आणि मी म्हणून शेखरजीने मध्ये एकदा म्हटलं होतं की डिफरंट लोक, वेगवेगळे लोक वेगवेगळ्या गोष्टी यांची सांगड कशी घालता येईल हा तुम्ही सगळ्यांनी मिळून विचार करा आणि समथिंग ब्युटिफुल विल कम आउट ऑफ इट.
सिम्पोजियम करावा लागेल मला वाटतं.
Yeah, exactly.
Dada, I have a last question if you don't mind.
Go ahead, sure, go ahead.
During the meditation or pranayam, we go through the different parts of the body and the organ. Does it really affect that, that part of the body? For example, right foot, right knee, right thigh, right hip, that when we go to that part of the body, does it really affect that? What kind of effect we have that? Anybody can answer, respond that.
The meditation I perform is not like that, because meditation, there are 18 different types of meditation. What you are mentioning is a different one than the one I perform. So I would not say I would have a specific answer to that, but it basically maybe just relaxes that part of the body when you focus on that body. I tell you my experience. Sometimes I have got a headache and I do meditation and it just goes away. Now you explain to me how you explain that, right? Just meditation curing somebody's headache.
Does it activate that part of the body? For example, kidney, for example, pancreas, that suppose you image.
I would not dare say that. It doesn't activate body. If you concentrate on your knee, the knee is hurting, I think it basically relaxes the whole system.
Yes.
I think Subhash wanted to say something.
No, मी एवढंच म्हणणार होतो की माझा स्वतःचा अनुभव आहे की हे करायला म्हणजे तुमची आता योगाची किंवा मेडिटेशन करायला लागल्यापासून त्या पार्टना काहीतरी पॉझिटिव्ह फरक जाणवतो. आणि हे मी बरेचदा अनुभवलेलं आहे. सो आय फर्मली बिलीव्ह दॅट. आणि I think all these things are going to help, and I'm really excited with all these different lectures. आणि म्हणून मी मायानीलना सुद्धा म्हटलं तुम्ही असं सगळ्यांनी मिळून काहीतरी
म्हणाले ना बाई सिम्पोजियम करा.
या करा.
Yeah, I also believe, Subhash, same thing that you are saying. Just let's say that something is hurting here, and you say bring your breath to that point, okay?
Yeah.
And just that action of just focusing on that point and bringing your energy there does help. That's my experience.
So, yeah.
Ready to sleep?
Yes.
I'm
ready to brush your teeth. I
know. You're okay.
Shabba khair.
I have another comment to answer. My friend, Dr. Brij Malani, Dr. Malani from Chicago, has said objectivity is more important than subjectivity. Yes, absolutely right. But it is in relation to physical science. A subtle entity is beyond this, and objectivity, this principle may not apply to that, because it is a subtle principle which is not quantifiable. It is not experimentable.
Thank you, Prakash. And thank you, everyone. This has been a wonderful session. And
Guruji, can I ask one quick question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Sudha.
So, like, when I have experienced this several times, when I'm doing yoga nidra and I'm trying to concentrate on my right toe, and my left toe starts like, shaking or something, and like that. Like, so am I doing something entirely wrong? What is happening? Why? Like, when I'm trying to concentrate on the right hand side, left hand side starts. This is the experience so many times.
Oh, very interesting.
It's strange.
I have no explanation for it.
Oh, okay.
The explanation could be only in the neuroscience, in the way that when you are concentrating on that particular toe, the toe is controlled by certain neurons in your motor cortex. And each motor cortex is connected to the opposite motor cortex in the other hemisphere by corpus callosum. These are the interconnecting fibers. That means two toes are connected basically through corpus callosum. And maybe when you stimulate one, the other gets stimulated. That is the neuroscientific explanation of this.
Oh, okay.
I wish I had pictures here to show you the motor cortex of two connected with the corpus callosum.
Just maybe simply that you are bringing more energy to one side and the other side gets less energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I think Raju Mohalkar wants to say something. Go ahead, please. No?
Very useful information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prakash. खूप चांगलं झालं lecture. It was very good.
Thank you, Arundhati. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your words mean a lot to me.
Doctor, it was very nice, Prakash. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good night.